Well, there's a lot more going on in the U.S., including a disturbing story out of Las Vegas. And joining me now to discuss this and a lot more is political commentator Stephanie Hamill. Stephanie, welcome to the program. And I want to start with this very weird story out of Las Vegas, which I think deserves a lot more attention than it's been getting. An illegal biolab has been found running out of a Las Vegas home that has also been serving as an Airbnb. Now, Metro Police and the FBI carried out a search and found that it was linked to a secret Chinese lab that was found in California in 2023, which was oozing with E. coli, HIV, malaria, and COVID-carrying mice. This is all very disturbing, Stephanie. How worried do you think we should be about this, particularly the fact that it has connections to the Chinese Communist Party?
Hi, James. I'm concerned because, as you mentioned, there were links to another lab that we saw in the news several years ago in California. So how many labs are there in the United States of America and across the world, for that matter? In this particular case, there are so many more questions than answers. Right now, we know that they found like 1,000 pieces of evidence in regards to these bio weapons, potentially in hazardous materials. So as you had said, they found things like COVID and dengue and malaria and HIV. What are they trying to do with this stuff here in the US? And more details about the suspect here. He apparently is a Chinese national. So we have Chinese nationals in the US running these labs. And, if they're doing it in secrecy, it's probably because they're not doing it for a good reason, if I had to guess. So there must be something nefarious going on there. And even if they had good intentions, the fact that they have this in a neighborhood, in a home, really puts so many Americans and people in the world at risk.
Yeah, no, it just seems very, very disturbing to me, and it seems like a huge national security issue, and I hope that we hear more about this in the days and weeks to come. But I want to move over to California as well, and we've got to talk about this here. The absolute tongue bath the media is giving Governor Gavin Newsom. Now, the New York Times this week devoted an entire page to Gavin Newsom, while Vogue published its own profile, which, and get your sick bags, folks, here, because it opened with the words, "Let's get this out of the way. He is embarrassingly handsome. His hair seasoned with silver, at ease with his own eminence." And it went on to describe him as lithe, ardent, energetic, a glimmer of optimism in his eye, Kennedy-esque. Stephanie, this is pretty over the top. And if they're going this hard now trying to pump up Gavin Newsom, does this tell us that maybe some folks are actually worried that if people start to look at what Gavin Newsom actually did in California, they might not want him as president of the United States?
I wasn't ready for the cringe in this article, and it just went on and on and on and on. It was so long. And the author of the piece, Maya Singer, I mean, she was just fawning over Newsom. I mean, kicking off with just how good looking Newsom is. It's just embarrassing how good looking he is. I mean, I'm embarrassed for this person who essentially is calling themselves a journalist, that they would have the audacity to publish something like this without even being slightly critical of maybe Newsom's policies and how they have affected the state of California. California has so many issues, and none of those were addressed in this article. As an American voter, I can tell you, I don't want a California, the United States of America. I also find it interesting that the party who is so vocally opposed to white men are looking at another older white man for president. This is the person people are supporting for president in these early polls. Newsom hasn't announced that he's running yet, but it's very obvious he's really considering it and taking himself seriously, because if you look at his Twitter feed, it's all about Trump. It's nothing to do with his state. He also was recently gallivanting around Davos, trying to mingle with the world elite, trying to show that maybe he is a good potential for president.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny, too, because as you suggest, Gavin Newsom has kind of set himself up as the de facto leader of the opposition in the United States. But I just have a hard time taking him seriously because, for all the pretty boy looks, there's something weird and reptilian about him. And he just doesn't wind up convincing people, I think, that he's a normal guy. I mean, just take a look at this clip here.
It's just typical Trump trying to, forgive me, it's a French phrase, piss on the grasshoppers to hear them sing.
I don't know about you, Stephanie, but I actually asked a few French people. None of them had actually heard of this phrase. What is he trying to do here?
He's just trying to seem likable and funny, and it's just not hitting well. I mean, maybe some people like it, like Maya Singer over at Vogue, but the rest of everyday Americans, I don't think they're buying into it. It is very cringe. It's just really hard to watch. And I just don't think the American people are going to support someone like Gavin. We see him trying to position himself as some sort of moderate, but he has a record that he can't run away from. He's been in politics forever.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been playing clips on this show of the state of Los Angeles and San Francisco for years now, and I just feel like all of those things are going to wind up making incredible Republican campaign ads should he wind up being the nominee. But on to a former U.S. president, Bill Clinton and his wife Hillary. Well, they have finally agreed to testify in a congressional investigation into the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Now, this could stave off a planned vote to hold the pair in contempt. But what are you expecting, anything, or if anything, to come out of this testimony?
I mean, I hope something will. I would love to see some of the people who are named in the Epstein files held accountable, but it's been going on for so long, and it appears that there's just been this cover up and an effort to protect all of these people. I'll say that I've spent the last few nights going through hundreds of these Epstein files directly from the DOJ website because I wanted to make sure some of the things I'd seen on social media were accurate, that these weren't doctored emails or, just fake stuff that people were sharing on social media. And I am actually shocked to my core. I'm just totally appalled by the things I've seen. I just can't believe that there are so many people in positions of power, the rich, the wealthy, Hollywood, who are so depraved and would have interest in these diabolical things that Jeffrey Epstein was apparently doing, according to his own emails. It is just abhorrent. And then the idea and the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell is the only person behind bars. So there are so many people that need to be held accountable. This hearing that's coming up, it's going to be at the end of the month. And the reason this is my theory, the reason the Clintons agreed to doing this was because Democrats started turning on them. And, people are politically irrelevant when the Democrats start turning on them. So that says a lot about the Clintons. But Bill Clinton can't run away from this. He is in so many photos. He is in so many of the emails. He's visited the island. He's been on the Lolita Express too many times. So he's going to have a lot of explaining to do.
Yeah, and I mean, as the old phrase in political scandals goes, what did he know and when did he know it? Steph, before I let you go, I want to show you this here. People are starting to get sick of anti-immigration customs enforcement, ICE protesters, as I suggested earlier, but I was hoping you could explain this to me. These Minnesota residents have set up a checkpoint and, well, just let this lady explain how this works.
We are literally creating a place that we know who's coming and going in and out of our neighborhood.
Steph, it sounds like all of these anti-immigration enforcement protesters have come up with something that sounds an awful lot like a border checkpoint. This is pretty ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, nothing says defending democracy like cosplaying border agents or ICE agents. It's just so absurd, and it's just so on brand for these protesters. Of course, they're going to set up a barrier and try to find out who's coming in and if they're a threat for their community. Same thing with the American people, right? We have a barrier, a border wall, border laws. We just want to know who's coming in, and we want to know who's a threat to our community. The thing that's just so annoying about the situation is that the federal government is going after criminal illegals, like horrible criminals, violent criminals, rapists, pedophiles, and people that have long rap sheets. And the community is just going out on a limb here, using their bodies as shields to protect these horrible people that have no place in this society.
Stephanie, as the saying goes, you either have strong borders around your nation or you have strong borders within it. Thank you so much for your time, Stephanie. Really appreciate it.